Thank you.
Hello everyone, today we're going to be listing all L4D2 maps on a tier list based on how they play in versus mode.
This is epic.
From S tier competitive staples to the maps that make you want to lobby dodge. Let's see where they all land, no filler, no BS.
Are you sure about that?
Let's get straight into it. We're starting things off with a map that a lot of old school players still aren't sure about, The Last Stand. Originally just a survival map, does it actually hold up in a competitive 4v4 setting, or is it just an infected-sided bloodbath?
I don't know. I mean, the answer to that is I don't know.
I don't know either, because it's a ghost town. You can sit in a lobby for easily a couple hours and never find a full 4v4. And even if you somehow do, the finale is a mess. There's multiple tanks spawning where you're trying to haul gas cans of a lighthouse. I don't think it's balanced, it's just frustrating. It's only 2 chapters. There's really just not much to talk about when I personally have maybe played this map twice. So, I mean, I could be wrong on certain things, but this one is going to go straight into D tier because I cannot even play it. If you have played more than 5 minutes of versus, you've played Dead Center. It's the default, the starter, the Dust 2 if you will. The map that 90% of lobbies are running at any given time. It's a glass cannon type of map. Chapter 1 is heavily infected sided because of the instant kills. You can either get out of the hotel as a team, or one guy gets charged out of a window and quits before you even reach the elevator. But Chapter 2 resets the survivors with top tier weapons and lasers,
Hello there.
making it much harder for the infected to get a solid hit afterwards. The Mall's Chapter 3 has great verticality for spitter and jockey plays, but the long hallways can sometimes feel like a hold and shoot and walk type of experience, if the infected aren't coordinated enough.
Hey pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town?
Also includes the window event where chargers and smokers will definitely try to ruin your day. But it's the gold standard for scavenge finales. You can throw cans from the top floor to the car, which adds a layer of strategy. Survivors have to split up, which I think is exactly what a good versus finale should force them to do sometimes. I think this one's going to go into B tier. I think it would be higher if my experience wasn't plagued by new players. Dark Carnival is the ultimate high-risk, high-reward campaign. It's got my favorite atmosphere and a fun finale. But I mean, getting there is kind of a chore. Chapter 1 is pretty straightforward and balanced. The hardest part about this chapter is usually just the motel. That's where the tank will spawn, and this can kind of decide whether or not you can continue on with the campaign. But there's nothing really to complain about in my opinion. Chapter 2 is probably peak game design. As you make your way through the fairgrounds to start a moving carousel event, I think it's just fun for both sides. Albeit a little easy for the survivors if you're quick enough. But Chapter 3 and Chapter 4 is where the real game begins. Chapter 3, the coaster, is not just a map, it's a test of whether your team actually knows how to shove and clear. One spitter or well-timed charger and you're looking at a full team wipe on the tracks. Chapter 4 has an insane crescendo event as you make your way to the safe room, giving infected a couple opportunities to attack even with little distance from the safe room. The concert finale is legendary for me. The music, the fireworks, the stage layout, it's pure chaos in the best way. It's one of the few finales that feels like a fair fight because of how much space both sides have to work with. I'm always down to play this campaign. I'm going to give this one a straight A tier.
Oh my god. Oh my god. So good.
Now we're going to go ahead and get into Swamp Fever. Now this campaign isn't bad. In Chapter 1, the ferry ride is the highlight here. It is a forced holdout where survivors are sitting ducks. In versus, a good spitter or well-timed charger spawn here can end the round before it even starts. Chapter 2, the swamp. This is like a paranoia chapter. It has deep water, tall grass, and those hanging bodies everywhere. It's the best map in the game for jockeys and smokers because the environment hides them so well. Chapter 3, the shantytown. This is where the noobs get filtered. The boardwalks are narrow, and if you fall off into the swamp, you're slowed down instantly. It's a playground for chargers to knock people into the muck. The finale, a wide open yard, and a house that feels like a fortress until the walls start breaking.
Alright, time to execute my trick.
Feed him to the lions, don't you think? We are so...
It's one of a few finales that feels like a fair high-stakes fight for both sides. Now, believe it or not, I'm going to be putting this in the B tier. Now, I know everyone kind of hates the water slog, but here's the thing. I believe Swamp Fever is a masterclass in skill checking. It's an infected's playground. The murky water and the tall grass make every corner a threat. It's not exactly a starter map like Dead Center. It's a map that rewards you for actually knowing how to kite zombies and specials and mastering movement. If you can't handle the swamp, I think that's a skill issue, not a map issue. It would be higher in my tier list, but I usually don't even get to the finale, because everyone usually rage quits before I can get to it. Now we're going to move on to Blood Harvest. This map is the reason people are afraid of the woods. In Versus, this is an infected playground. Chapter 1 and 2 are just trees. Lots of trees. For a survivor, it's a nightmare of low visibility, but for the infected, it's a 5-star resort. You can strike from anywhere, between the 0 visibility cornfields and the bridge where one charger can end your entire career. It's a constant sweat fest. Moving through the cornfield at the end of Chapter 4 is just pure anxiety. You can't see the tank, you can't see a boomer, and you're just spraying and praying. But then you get to the farmhouse finale, and suddenly the survivors turn into an unkillable wall of lead. It's like a total flippin' balance that makes for some of the weirdest scores in the game. I'm giving this one a C tier, because for me, I do not like the finale. Not too many high stakes moments like death charges are really even possible, but it does have good pacing and 5-chapter comeback opportunity. Next on the list, we have the Parish. While it does have a very odd and short first chapter, this campaign only gets better as it goes. Chapter 1 can be completed in like less than 30 seconds. I mean, it does have 5 chapters, so it's not that big of a deal, but the only true good attack spot is at the start or at the alleyway choke point. Maybe get a good hit at the car alarm. Chapter 2 is a little survivor-sided with the amount of health you can find in this one, in my opinion. But the Cedar Trailer event mixed with a tank can reality check any unprepared team. Chapter 3 is really fun.
And I'm going to say what nobody else is willing to say. America has a fat law crisis.
And has a few spots the survivors have to be super careful in. Chapter 4, The Quarter, is one of the more intense chapters. It's a long-winding sprint through narrow streets and very few safe spots to heal. It also has the float event, which is an infinite horde. It's a move or die moment once the float is in place. The infected can use the balconies to get high damage, 100 pounces. It's one of the more vertical chapters in this campaign. And Chapter 5, which is my favorite finale, this is way more balanced and a fun version of Coldstream's finale. Having to sprint across broken down bridge to the helicopter. There's unlimited death charge opportunities and ways for jockeys to lead survivors, but like I mentioned earlier, the survivors can also use the verticality to their advantage. However, panic will certainly set in the group once the tank spawns. You have a couple options you can go for. Do you rush for the points and try to juke the tank out if things are looking kinda iffy? Or do you fight as a team while the tank throws mountains of cars at you? Ultimate chaos for a finale in a very solid set of chapters makes me put this one at the A tier. Now there's really just not much going on for a crash course here. It's like the greatest hits of gray concrete and warehouses. There's no really big moments here, and because it's only 2 chapters long, the competitive stakes are non-existent. If you mess up on one turn in the first 5 minutes, the match is over. There's no room for a comeback, no room for a story to develop. Just a quick sprint through a parking lot, and then it's back to the lobby. The finale is just your super basic holdout finale where you just honestly kind of just sit in a corner until, the finale's done. I don't really like this finale. I think it's also one of the worst ones in the game, to be honest. It's one of the most skipped maps in the game for a reason, and because it's too short, too bland, and nobody actually wants to play it, Crash Course is going right into the D tier. Next up, we have Dead Air. Now, the air may be dead, but the vibes are alive. The airport campaign that most veterans consider the pro map, and I would have to agree. This is arguably one of the most balanced 4v4 experiences in this selection.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute.
There are no gimmicks here, no infinite hordes, it's just pure mechanical skill. From the rooftop greenhouses in Chapter 1 to the terminal walkways, this map forces you to look up. It's a playground for high damage 100 pounces and smoker poles that actually take skill to pull off. Chapter 3 is the ultimate skill check. That drop down into the construction site is a death trap. If your team does not have a pipe bomb or a perfect clear ready, a single boomer hit in that pit is a trap. It is one of the few places where the infected have a massive tactical advantage without it feeling cheap, and the runway finale is a masterclass in kiting. It's not a camp fest. You're on an open runaway with an exploding plane and 2 tanks. You have to move, you have to kite, and you have to watch every angle. It's high stakes, it's fast. So considering this is a gold standard for competitive play, Dead Air will be taking A tier, which honestly is pretty uncommon for a Left 4 Dead 1 map for me. The Passing has one of the more confusing map layouts, if you don't play it that much. But if you do manage to find your way near the safe room in Chapter 1, this is the ultimate clip moment. The winning area is a wide open death trap. If a survivor is positioned poorly, a charger can take them through the chairs near the witch for ultimate chaos, as she's guaranteed to spawn at that same location. You can definitely plan this in advance. The Underground Slog, Chapter 2, this is where the map kind of loses people. The sewers are tight, dark, and filled with dead ends. For a spitter or a boomer, it's a dream. There's nowhere for the survivors to run, but for the survivors, it feels like a claustrophobic chore where you're just waiting to get pinned. The finale is a scavenge event, but what makes the scavenge event finale significantly worse than the other ones is that it has a lot of high danger zones. There's several gas cans that are located on the far side of the map, which are difficult to reach. These are notorious for heavy special infected spawns, making it nearly impossible for a player to grab a can and return it safely, often requiring at least 3 teammates to make the trip. It has poor visibility and chaos layout. The map is filled with obstacles, debris, and covered areas that obscure vision, and overall just a bunch of other reasons that honestly don't make this one too enjoyable. But the inconsistency in the campaign and the sewer section for me really just drags the experience down. Because of that, the Passing is also going to be landing a D tier. It's definitely a total bust. It's not a map I'm excited to see pop up, and I'm sure it's not for many other people.
It tore me apart. But I learned an important lesson. You can't count on anyone.
Now we're hitting Hard Rain. I think this one is pretty good, all things considered. The hurricane and rain is really fun for me, and a nice change of weather that also acts as a game design element. Chapter 1 is a standard urban trek, but Chapter 2 is where things start to get interesting. Navigating a field of witches while the infected try to shove or charge you into them is one of the more anxiety-inducing parts of the set of chapters. I highly, highly recommend you use a shotgun for that part of the map, or it's going to be a nightmare. There's plenty of death charge and smoker opportunities in the elevator section towards the end. Then on Chapter 3, you have to go right back through the cornfield and do the elevator section and backtrack back to the burger tank for a vertical holdout finale. One bad jockey pull in that finale, and it's detrimental, especially with good support. Overall, I think it's unique, intense, but really only held back by slight backtracking. I think this one gets a B tier from me. Now, Death Toll is going to be a very unforgiving map for the survivors. Chapter 1 has a massive highway bridge with a long, narrow path. In Versus, this is a smoker's playground. If one survivor gets pulled off the edge, the team has to backtrack or drop down, splitting the group instantly. A charger is pretty good for this too, alongside having a ladder where a spitter and a jockey can do some dirty work. But if you can make it past that, you usually can make it to the safe room. In Chapter 2, you move from a wide open woods into the tight, dark tunnels. This is a boomer and spitter's paradise. Because the tunnels are so narrow, there is literally nowhere to run when a bile hit happens. But it does have a challenging, fun event, lowering the bridge, especially if there's a tank. Chapter 3, the train yard, is my favorite chapter, as you follow the train tracks to make your way to the church in like a mini holdout event. But things start to get rocky after that. Chapter 4 of the town includes the Infinite Gauntlet, where you have to sprint your way through a town filled with alleyways and narrow corridors, which, alongside the stale, campy finale, honestly makes this an easy C tier for me. I do enjoy the beginning, but it falls off heavily at the end for me.
Told you. We're gonna hang out, gonna watch a movie, gonna take some pictures. I'll pay you.
Alright, now we're going to talk about Coldstream, and I'm just going to straight out say it. This is easily the worst map in the entire game. I know it's a community-made legend, but for versus, it's just a total disaster. The layout is cluttered, the sightlines are broken, and the constant infinite horde gauntlet makes it feel like a chore rather than a challenge. Chapter 1, Alpine Creek. You're navigating a narrow creek bed filled with foliage, which usually isn't a bad thing. But in versus, Hunter can pounce from a cliff you can't even see, and a smoker can drag you into the woods where your teammates will lose sight of you in seconds. It also has a weird tightrope section, which I find odd, and it has a really odd hatch animation opening to get into the safe room. Chapter 2, South Pine Stream, has a guaranteed take spawn with plenty of huge rocks and cars to fling. You spend a huge chunk of this map in knee-deep water. It's a charger's dream and a survivor's nightmare. The tunnel section is cramped and lacks the clever flanking routes that make official maps feel balanced. Chapter 3, Memorial Bridge, the cluttered chaos. It's a massive bridge filled with burning cars and debris. It looks cool, but the pathing is a mess. It's very easy to get stuck on geometry while trying to kite a tank, leading to cheap wipes. And it has, honestly, the worst finale in the game, just an infinite sprint. This is just a massive uphill gauntlet to a helicopter. There is no strategy here beyond throw every pipe bomb you have and pray. If the director spawns a tank at the top of the very hill, GG's. What makes this finale worse than the Parish, even though they're kind of, the same idea, is the Parish easily has more verticality, especially because you can spawn on top of the bridge, and the survivors have plenty of verticality to work with. They can jump on the cars, there's plenty of huge semis to jump over and kind of shoot zombies from below, so it has a little more better game design features than this one does. Because it's messy, unpolished, and not really playable in versus due to it being modded literally all the time anyways, Coldstream is our definitive D tier. I instantly leave this campaign, no thanks. Next we have The Sacrifice, and this one is heavily dependent on teamwork. If you're a fan of fast-paced, high-intensity versus, I suppose this map is for you. If you're actually able to find one without it being modded, of course. It has a couple interesting scripted moments in the game. Opening the train door and releasing a tank in a cramped shipyard is a massive gamble. Do you want to rush it? Do you bait it out? Again, if the survivors mess up here, the match is basically over. The Gravel Barge, Chapter 2, is a playground for smokers and jockeys. The verticality of the gravel piles and the narrow walkways on the barge make it incredibly easy to pull the survivors off into a death hang or just separate them from the team. But the finale is very frustrating. There's a requirement for a player to sacrifice themselves to trigger the win, which is often described as, for some, as janky or annoying, which requires very heavy teammate dependence. Like in public games, it is difficult to get teammates to coordinate, often leading to failure if the person who goes to fix the generator doesn't get any help. And it's the only finale with a unique, again, frustrating failure condition. Because of the odd finale requiring a lot of teamwork and the fact that this is never really in a versus lobby anyways for good reason, this one is going to go straight into C tier. I think the first two chapters are fine, but again, the finale is just not it, son. And as you could guess, we will be closing out with No Mercy. This is the face of the franchise. It's got the hospital, the elevator, and the legendary rooftop, and honestly, it is a really good map, but for me there is just a couple things holding it back. Chapter 1 Apartments feels way too short, but I can't hold that against it too much because I like the Parish, and that also has a very short campaign chapter. For a competitive match, you also get about 2 to 3 chances to attack as specials, which is usually near the kitchen and once in the streets. Unless you get a witch, then you can probably make something work. Chapter 2 is where the good special tactics really shine. The subway offers multiple flanking routes for hunters and smokers, and it has a really decent event too, especially if you get a tank. Chapter 3, The Sewers, is pretty solid as well. Benefits boomers and spitters, and has a lift event that is very engaging if you get a tank. The Ladder of Death near the end of the chapter can be a bit tricky and sometimes funny to climb. Chapter 4 feels a little claustrophobic, but it's still manageable with good teamwork. Elevator holdout is super simple and easy though. In my opinion, you just kind of hold the back of the map and just squat up basically until the elevator's up. But, I simply do not like the finale. I think it's too campy. There's a lot of tank routes where you can just kind of loop the tank. And overall, I've already explained this in my previous video why I don't think this is a good finale, but you basically just camp. So No Mercy gets a B tier. It is not a bad map whatsoever. There's obviously a reason. There's plenty of lobbies always open, but for me, there's just a couple reasons that I do not believe it is worth the A tier.
Jesse! Jesse! Jesse!
Do you agree or disagree with my ranking? Feel free to comment below and let me know how good or bad I did, but thank you for watching.
Breathe air! You don't need a vape. My vape's done charging. Load it up.
Hadouken!